All right, everybody, welcome back. I'm Algorithmore, and this is going to be another Stormgate cast. This is going to be a best of three from the Alpha Navigators Cup number 24, and this will be starring Snoxtar in the Blue Infernal, and his opponent, the Red Infernal, will be Fiction, who we see is open with a conclave. They have both sent their hexens across the map, but they are passing on opposite sides of the secluded grove. And so they will not see each other. This will be a non-violent opening. Neither of them will have to shoot their little pot shots at the other. Instead, it will be a peaceful scouting. And Fiction's Hexen comes in. Does she catch a glimpse? Yeah, she sees, hey, there's a vault there. I might take a pot shot, but thinks better of it. Instead, walks in just in time to get a couple of shots in the face from Snoxtar's Hexen before she teleports away and losing all of her shroud skin and maybe a couple slivers of her health, one health. And she's immediately out creeping, not worried that she only regenerated 3 of her shroud skin. Whereas we see this Hexen almost at full with 36 out of 40. And she's going to help her brute out here. This brute is a tough brute. He's going to tank all of the slimes at once. That's one way you can do your creeping. That way you're probably going to lose your brute. If you are microing, you might manually split that brute, but instead it looks like here Snoxtar's just pulling back his weak fiends instead. Making sure all the fiends stay alive. One weak fiend staying back in the health camp. And moving on to creep his vision camp as well. Another brute out there to join him. And again, using the brute tanking technique, it looks like here. Fellhogs in the back helping for some DPS. Of course, you'd like to use your Fellhogs to tank as well. And then one of them does start tanking there. We got a lot of fiends there. What's that? It looks like 7 fiends out. While it's Gaunts here for Fiction. And a single brute, 4 gaunts and a brute, and these fiends are trying to be annoying. Where are they going to go? They're going to go straight into the main. Now the vision camp just got activated, so they were able to see this. Fiction's not surprised, and his army is coming back. Now, these fiends are just trying to do anything they can, and they see, no, this army's here. I'm going to retreat. Ooh, they kind of hide in the woods a bit. They're actually coming out at a wrong spot, getting a few shots. And now 1 fiend going down. Maybe 2 actually. Only 5 fiends remain for Snoxtar. So at best a scouting. And at worst, maybe inspiring Fiction to come and be a little bit aggressive. And we see Fiction is here at the vision camp and is going to try and maybe take out this farm. These fiends are thinking, well, maybe this is my chance. I don't know if it is. We can take a look at them in a second. It looks like they're just spotting out the natural here, but there's a bigger threat as Fiction's army is moving up onto this natural. But there's already a Magmadon out. This is the one Magmadon defense. That is, if you're playing a little bit greedy like Snoxtar is, and you're going an earlier base while your opponent is building army and you're maybe not, one way to ensure that you're not just going to get rolled over when they move across the map like this is to try to get up to tier 2 quickly. And once you're at tier 2, pump out a single mag. And we can see here already. Wow. Oh, no, you don't want to lose your gaunts in that way. But indeed, Fiction loses 3 gaunts, it looked like there. A 4th one possibly going down, although I don't think the Infest is going to do enough damage. But as I was mentioned, that single mag can do so well. It did well there, splattering some gaunts. But it at the very least, if it's not killing off units like we're seeing there, the mag is the threat to kill units. And usually those gaunts, that initial gaunt force, maybe it's a infest push with the plague axes, or maybe it's a gaunt and brute kind of all-in play or aggressive play like we saw here from Fiction. I wouldn't call it all in. He's got a base behind it and so on. But when those units show up, a single mag is actually really tanky, does that splash damage. Even with it not being upgraded, can be a solid defense. So we did see that on display with Snoxstar. He went for that fast tier 2, protected his natural with the mag and with the Manifest Shroudstone, probably coming out just at perfect timing as that push arrived. Now, Fiction now means that he's going to be a little bit behind in the eco now. His natural's still not up. And Snoxstar's up to, yeah, it looks like fully saturated on his bases. And he's now adding more production of his own and a third base. Now, Fiction does have a lot of units, and there is a mag here that already used his trample. So that mag is waiting for his cooldown. Is that what we got? No, that's the debuff from the slimes. But that means one slime had to be surrendered to Fiction there just to make sure that he can take this engagement in the best possible way. And in mirror matches in general, but I think also in IVI it remains true, it's important to make sure that your engagements are trading in your favor. You have the same units, you have the same macro potential at least. If you are not getting good engages, that's just an easy way to throw the match. And I think that was just an example of Snoxstar trying to pull back, making sure that he gets a good engage. These Fiends, can he get them both? Yes, he splattered them both. And they're going to move out. Looks like it's moving on to some more creeping. We've already seen this Luminite camp taken. We see Fiction now taking out his own energy camp. Energy camps being sort of less useful for Infernal players, unless you're going maybe a mass Hexen play or at least a Hexen focus play. The energy is not super relevant. Weavers, of course, are energy based as well, so you can get some benefit on Weavers. But most of the other units do not take energy. It's one camp that has an asynchronous sort of benefit to the given factions. I mean, arguably all of the camps have sort of an asynchronous benefit, just that all factions are different, but the energy camp has maybe a more severe swing between factions. Now they're creeping out their map. We're seeing here, it looks like the third base of Fiction now get up. Well, again, the third base of Snoxstar is fairly complete. We see a Hellforge. Is that a second Hellforge? Oh, pardon me, there was a drop going on here, but a Manifest Shroudstone was enough to sort of chase it away. So I like that play out of Fiction. Gaunt drops can be very effective. Although Snoxstar's got some, I was going to say good army control, but his army's just walking away now. And the Manifest Shroudstone's already been used. And these Gaunts, well, unfortunately are not being microed exactly as Fiction would want. You want them to not fight the Fellhogs. You want them to fight the imps, and that's because the Fellhogs will not produce fiends when they die. Some fiends taking this tower. An army kind of caught a little bit out of position, and Snoxstar looking to be a little bit aggressive. I did not notice here, but it looks like this inner base has at least been procced down. And we've got a huge battle here. One mag in the back, pushing some of the units back, while a few of Snoxstar's units remain in the middle here. One mag trying to do as much work as he can, and a few Gaunts in the back, while the rest of his army is on the right hand side trying to get a good concave. There's a single mag out there, and pretty good splits out of Snoxstar to try and keep his units safe, although he is going to have to retreat. I think that was just an example of that engage being just a little bit chaotic and not in his favor. Now he's taking a straight toe-to-toe. That means he is going to take out that one mag, and he's now maybe doing all right until this other mag shows up, and we see strategically moving back, trying to maybe focus fire the mag while staying out of its area of effect attack. His own mag shows up, in fact two, one with a little bit of a mini flank from the top there, but we now see Fiction in retreat. Another mag here, taking a couple pot shots, being picked up by the Harbinger to keep it safe. And Snoxtar pulls back to get a little bit of creeping. This is on stage 2 or level 2 for these creeps, which means they're tougher to fight. You can see they're very tanky here. And this army is just a little bit smaller than you might normally see in the mid game here trying to fight this because of the skirmishes we see. And I do have that Hellforge selected. We do see the Demon Hoof Tremors going down after the Soulforge Ascendance, the Brute upgrade, just finished. And there's a bunch of Weavers being added here, while the 4th base in the middle. Now this 4th base is a good progression of this aggressive style, eco style that Snoxtar's made. I love the Wraithstone here as well. We also see a Twilight Spire going down. So far Snoxtar has not really taken his units to try and engage into Fiction anywhere, defending when he had to, but otherwise just expanding his eco and keeping that eco advantage. Some nice lashes going down to stun the creeps just to preserve his units a little bit better. And here is another drop attempt from Fiction. Like I said, Snoxtar's just been trying to defend. Fiction's just trying to get some kind of hold anywhere. And here he goes, about to get a good placement for a drop just as the Manifest Shroudstone goes down. Staying on top of this tree line to try and stay safe, and then deciding I need to teleport out. There's no safe movement here. And again, the teleports away, and we see him rallying his troop here to the bottom. His mag now takes down the trees, and this is going to be a push in. There's already a Wraithstone up. We see that it's slowing the units so they can't even get up to try and focus fire it. And instead of focus firing it, they are going to fight right under it, it looks like. That's not going to be great for Fiction. The Wraithstone doing 2% damage per tick on all the units that are standing on the Shroud right now. That's really terrible. It's nullifying their white health regen, for instance, which is something that, is very beneficial. That means Snoxtar's getting all the benefit from the Shroud, and Fiction is not. And the interesting thing is that Snoxtar's army looks largely melee. I only see a handful of Gaunts in there, only 2 or 3 it looks like actually. But nonetheless, these units are going to push back Fiction's units. And we got a nice front line of Brutes and Mags with a few Fiends in there, and Fiction has to retreat. His last Brute going down, and the Gaunts in full retreat as Snoxtar's army takes the Vision Cam, or tries to, nope, leaves it alone, just leaves it. Instead, thinks I'm going to go and pressure, but no, there's some Sprigs out now, and Gaunts, and without the rest of the army, this is just a mini little strike force. The Brutes think, okay, we're tough enough to take some Gaunts on, even though the Sprigs are up above. One Shadow Flyer with a really nice impact, another one with one Sprig going down. And now all these units are being brave to fight right on top of this Shroudstone. And I do like that Snoxtar chooses to focus the Shroudstone before engaging the army, which I think is one thing that Fiction could have done earlier to really help that engagement in the middle. There was a nice Nightfall infestation that went down there on Snoxtar's units. We do see a Mag showing up now that could be doing some Bruiser. We do not see any Lashes coming out, probably on cooldown. One Lash goes down on a Brute, that was interesting, while the Mag is in the back fighting all the Gaunts. And that's a small little regroup from Snoxtar, pulling his units back a little bit just to get them to regroup. And now he's got a Mag out there, he's doing really well, taking some hits, or more likely tanking some hits, about to lose his Shroud Skin, but oh, I like Snoxtar pulling back from that trample, avoiding the trample damage, the bonus damage. And now in full pushing into this, trying to get on top, hitting that effigy, unfortunately kind of getting caught on the effigy when you're in a move like that, and there's an effigy there, your units will stop and fight it. Taking out the shrine, this is looking to be bad news for Fiction. the one Hellborn there, doing that bonus damage against the structures, and just being annoying with the splash damage on the units. So a little bit of regrouping from Snoxtar. Fiction trying to get more units up so he can face another push. Putting his own defenses here. Having lost that one base to the south, but managing to keep his other bases alive so far. We have a Fiend here. I thought, oh, is this going to be another Imp? Are we already going there? No, this is just a Fiend to see when this might go down. This is curious. They're making Shroud Stones. This one was almost certainly going to get cancelled. Okay, here they go. They turn to attack the Fiend. But now we have some Brutes. Nope, with some Fiends heading up here. Okay, I thought he might cancel this one to build the Shroud in a better spot. Or, sorry, the Shrine in a better spot. But no, and he is just losing these. He's not sacrificing, or he's not canceling them. Which is not good, but maybe that's because there was also a dragon here doing some damage. So he's trying to fight off a couple two-pronged attacks here. Like, whose dragon? That's a Fiction dragon. I can't tell the team colors on there. This is Snoxtar's dragon. And again, another real chaotic battle. These two have been fighting these really chaotic battles this time. Fiends over here trying to get on. There's so many imps here. You don't like to see that. That looks like one of my games, actually. And now this army from Snoxtar is just looking, all of a sudden it turned really big. And looking at the supply, we see that indeed it is quite big. That a lot of that are these Fiends, of course. But now this army's feeling tough enough to just push into this. Certainly with this many Hellborns, the Shroud Stones are no longer such a big deal. Did I just see a dragon go down? I think I saw the dragon go down on the side of Fiction. It looked like to maybe some Shadow Flyers, and that's going to be a GG from Fiction. Alright, here we are in game 2, and we've got Fiction here spawning in the Blue Infernal on the top right of Titan's Causeway. And his opponent, Snoxtar, winner of the first game in the Red Infernal, here in the bottom left. And Snoxtar is going to open here Vault, it looks like, and it's Conclave out of Fiction. So Vault first versus Conclave first. One thing we've noticed in these IVI games so far is that almost any opening is kind of a viable opening. You can open Vault first, you can open Conclave first, you can go Vault Conclave, you can go Conclave Vault, you can go double Vault, you can go double Conclave, you can go either Vault or Conclave into a Shrine, and even if you are MSRM, you can just go straight Shrine first. So there are so many different build combinations that seem viable. That to me is amazing when it comes to a mirror match like this. That just means that there are many styles that are together somewhat equally consistent or balanced, and any, play whichever style you like. In an RTS like this is always better than feeling like there is only one way for you to open, and that is the optimal way. And if you don't do that, you are somehow behind. So that may just be a product of our current meta, or it might be a product of good design. We'll see maybe as this game progresses. And as this individual game progresses, we will see who's going to get the upper hand. So far, we've got Snoxtar creeping out the health camp, using his Brute to creep and tank like we saw in game 1. And we see Fiction also, who opened with the Conclave opening, with his Gaunts creeping. Also getting that early camp down, and now trying to get the speed camp, but we see that Snoxtar is also trying to get on top of the speed camp, and Snoxtar just doesn't care. He's bringing his Fiends right on there, hopefully going to try and snag some of these Shadow Mastiffs. And because of the way Shadow Mastiffs aggro and the way they jump around like that, you can get some, and he did get 2, and he steals the camp and runs away. I like it. I think that Fiction could take the camp, but running back to retake the camp is actually going to slow down the next phase of creeping. If you want to go kill these next, you don't get a huge benefit from just retaking that camp. That means you have to leave the bonus, the speed bonus, in your opponent's control, at least for now. Or maybe micro one of these fiends to go take it. And that just means a little bit of effort, a little bit more thought dedicated to that. And sometimes, at least for me at my level, I know that I should probably do it. I just don't, because I don't have enough microtasking skill. Multitasking skills. I can microtask, I guess. That's where you just do a very little task. Like you taking a sip of water, which I just did, and that, you know, that kind of microtask is the kind I like to live for. Okay, do we see any variation yet? So we have the base of Fiction almost done, and the base just going down for Snoxtar. So it looks like Eco a little bit faster out of Fiction. Although Snoxtar is getting really aggressive with creeping, and it's on top of the Luminite camp already. Interestingly, losing a lot of Fiends there. Look at all that gooey blood. Letting the Fiends tank the Bruiser, and the Bruiser just smashes Fiends. I think he used to 3-shot Fiends before the reduction in their health. He could probably be 2-shotting Fiends now. And when I say 3-shotting, I mean even if they had full Shroud Skin. So using your Fiends to take the Bruiser is not usually the best idea. Although he hits so hard, I'm not sure what is a good idea. You can try and tank the Bruiser with a Magmadon, and in some cases the Magmadon will die before you finish creeping the camp. So you got to be careful, even with tanky buddies like the Magmadon. Maybe a Weaver is your best option. Therium camp. The Luminite camp got captured by Fiction as he busted down the doors, but now Snoxtar is working on the Therium camp. Of course, Luminite's great. Therium is even greater if you are an Infernal player. You want that Therium. And Snoxtar is not willing to give up this camp necessarily, sending his Fiends to recapture it before doing what? Well, this camp, yeah, it looks like they're both going to try and go to this Therium camp. Speedy Fiends show up and see what's going on. Fiction has to be wary now, knowing that there must be a speedy army behind this. And this army is just saying, all right, here we go. Let's go. Nightfall infestation going down. Huge Nightfall, but also one going right back at you. So you like Nightfall? How about some Nightfall? But these slowed down Gaunts could not make it back. They summon an effigy trying to get on Shroud. A few other Gaunts moving ahead so that they can get on Shroud and also get their Plague Axes activated. One Meg getting up and being nasty up there. And now having to retreat. It's really good when you send your Megs up there to do their trample. To have them retreat if they can. That means you might be able to get a second trample in like we see here. And a few Gaunts going down to that. And then the Magmadon goes down. In the meantime there, we saw the Magmadon had actually chomped down one of his own Fiends, giving him more white health, allowing him to survive longer and get that good second trample down. Now this Hero Brute kind of coming out of nowhere, but actually going down. And Fiction does push back that aggression. Now taking out this effigy as well. We have a couple Fiends here. Interesting. I wonder if they're just a little misclicked away from where they needed to be there. And now Snoxtar looks like maybe regrouping it. This is a speedy old buddy. He doesn't even have speedy legs yet. He just seems to be walking real quick, and it must be from the speed camp there. He was walking so fast I thought he must have had his upgrade. This camp almost about to refresh. We have a Fiend up there. I think it was looking for a third. What happened here? Interesting. Okay. So Snoxtar, it looked like he was going to go recreep his camp, but no, there was a drop coming in. He sees the drop coming. And here it is. Manifest Shroudstone. Gaunts. Trying to take it out. And I love how he split his army to send Gaunts on the low ground to also try and take it out as it flies away. Harbingers are super beefy, so you're not exactly just going to snipe it with a couple gaunts like that, but just trying to harass it. Stop it from putting down again on top of your units. Using the mag to drop down. One thing about Titan's Causeway, it's got all these chokes and all these different routes, but once you start knocking down trees, all of a sudden the rush distance becomes pretty fast. You can get on top of third bases and such pretty quick, and the map kind of opens up. And with a single mag in your composition, ooh, the Harbinger getting caught here. Gull trying to follow it down. Ooh, he died of the infest damage. Losing all those gaunts, that's a huge loss for Fiction. And a good gain for Snoxtar. Managing to send Snoxtar into a little bit of a supply lead. Whereas Fiction was sort of keeping toe-to-toe there. But Snoxtar out re-creeping. Looks like Fiction also, he's got 2 mags and his own force of gaunts and brutes, and there's a single mag here, but it just looks like Snoxtar's army a little bit bigger. Maybe just has a little bit of an advantage. Again, the supply doesn't necessarily say that, but Snoxtar's economy I think is just a little bit ahead. Re-creeping his speed cap. While these fiends are out being annoying and stealing a camp here, we have Fiction taking the level 3 Luminite camp. They start at level 2 if I recall correctly. Did we see the mag go down? No, okay, I think the mag got picked up to be safe. But now using that backdoor access to try and come in here and take out this base. Speedy little Reaper's Rush gaunts and a nice mag drop on top of those gaunts, proccing their trample, but they do not have Demon Hoof Tremors. We do have Demon Hoof Tremors for Snoxtar. A few of Snoxtar's gaunts getting caught out of position there and being chomped down. So a good defense there, and that actually worked out in Fiction's advantage. And now we have another battle here with some pretty good tramples going down from Fiction, catching a lot of those gaunts off, and now also getting some of the brutes. A couple of those Magmadons are going down, but this does look like it is in Fiction's favor. Another trample and another Magmadon showing up for Snoxtar. The Snoxtar having to back up, and now Gaunt's fighting toe-to-toe with Mags. You never like to see that. And some really weak Mags trying to retreat, but not being able to. One weak Mag of Fiction's in the back there, managing to get away. Although a trampling sacrifice Snoxtar Magmadon tries to get in the back and do the damage, but does not kill that Magmadon. That Magmadon's weak and gets to the front line. Now focus fire down by Snoxtar. Probably should have chomped one of those fiends. Remember, chomping the fiend gives you full Shroud Skin. Using both of his Magmadons to trample there, I would have only used the forward one to trample. Try and preserve your tramples if you can. Don't use them all at once. Oh, I see. Did you see the Shroud Skin fill up there for both of those? He chomped down his fiends. A dead fiend is always a good trade. Actually, I said fiends, but he walked over to this farm. He chomped the Fellhogs. Fellhogs are super free. If you have a chance to chomp a Fellhog, go for it. It looks to me like Snoxtar knows what he's doing, and he's done this before. He marched them directly towards the farm before he used the chomp ability. Somehow Snoxtar's supply is up ahead again. He had a couple of inefficient trades there, but his econ is just enough that he's able to stay a little bit ahead. Thought that was another drop going by, but it was just a fiend. And we've got Fiction's army just moving back and forth here. Snoxtar is content to hang out in his speed camp. The Therium towers have refreshed and no one's captured them. And now we see a little push out here. There's a dragon from Snoxtar trying to be annoying to this army by spraying Infest on it and using his breath to kill some Gaunts. Kills one here, kills another one. And now 4 Fiends pop out and that's enough to kill another Gaunt. Oh, not quite. That Gaunt stays alive. But one dragon just being annoying with a little bit of Fiend backup here. Meanwhile, we had a feed run by, but there is an army up there to try and take that out. More Fiends being manually split from some Brutes. Running across here, and it looks like we're having a little bit of a battle here. In fact, all of Fiction's units have moved over here. The Dragon of Snoxtar has made it up here just to be part of the defense. There are Fiends here as part of this defense, but there's no way Fiends are going to clean this up. Some Shadow Flyers show up. They're not going to be any help. They just tank for a little bit before exploding. And now we've got a Nightfall Infestation, and these are Magmadons on tops of Gaunts here. You don't like to see that. A couple other Magmadons stomp through, but they're all by themselves now, lonely on Fiction's side, and they're going to get Focus Fire down. And it's the Dragon, if anything, that's going to make a difference here, because the Gaunts of Snoxtar, a lot of them went down. Now they're having to fight the Creep Camp, and it looks like Snoxtar's base went down here. And Fiction's got 2 Shroud Stones now. And Snoxtar is staying on top of this. He's trying to kite back from this Magmadon, who still gets some really good splash damage onto those Gaunts. Some of those Gaunts going down. The Dragon finally focus fires down the Magmadon, and now it looks like the tides are once again turning towards Snoxtar. He's trying to focus down these Shroud Stones as more Magmadons show up for Fiction. They're coming straight out of the speed camp. They got some speedy legs, but it looks like they're not willing to engage necessarily right away. Snoxtar is going to put down that base right under the nose of this battle. The Magmadons come forward, say you must respect us. Some Nightfall Infestations going down, and now we see some tramples. And wow, this is definitely going to be in the favor of Fiction now. There's a lot of Fiends showing up from those infested Gaunts. And the ground force of Snoxtar has pretty much disappeared. There's still a dragon above, though. And none of these units can really hit the dragon. A couple Gaunts, of course, they get focus fired down. And there is a base up here with the Shroud Stone, so there is a somewhat defensible... Ooh, an interesting kind of pin and flake as that Magmadon pushes up the ramp. A couple more Brutes just pop out of these vaults up here. A whole bunch more Brutes show up. And oh geez, we're getting some Hellfire Resurgence or Hellspawn Resurgence. What is it called? The top bar ability that allows you to get more charges on your buildings, and a whole bunch of Brutes just pop out, and all of a sudden the tides are turning. Fiction has to retreat all of his imps away because there's just too many Brutes now, and there is a dragon here. Dragon on dragon violence. A few of the Brutes trying to face off more Brutes here. I think both of them are feeling a little Therium starved. And that's why we're into a Brute kind of only battle here. This Therium base of Fiction now is gone. And we see the dragon, and, oh no, Nightfall Infestation going down on those Gaunt Spriggans on top of them. But Gaunts versus Spriggans, I think that's a Gaunt victory. And it certainly was a victory in this case. So many Brutes down here. So many Brutes, and I think Fiction's just unable to keep up with the production now. He's got a lot of mins, but I think he's just not got the production buildings or maybe the Animus for Hellspawn Resurgence. He does push the army back, but I think this is just a regroupment. They're heading back to get those speedy legs, and now they're going to use those speedy legs to get some surrounds. Catch this Magmadon. The Magmadon decides, turn around, I got it trampled. I love that. If you're going to lose the unit, you might as well get as much damage out of it as you can. He turns to trample, but this is just an overwhelming force now showing up on Fiction's doorstep. He's going to make a valiant fight. But we see Brutes getting split. Fiends running up to the high ground, doing a surround on the Gaunts. All those Gaunts going down. So many Fiends are showing up as the Dragons. Now it's just Dragon on Dragon, Gaunts on Dragon, and that is a dead Dragon above Fiction. And it's moments from a GG, and there it is.